Diablo 2 Resurrected has patch notes again. And not just patch notes either, but proper lengthy patch notes, the kind that instantly gets the community talking and speculating all over again, because gone are the days of those repetitive season resets mixed with the occasional bug fix that felt more like maintenance mode than genuine excitement for the future of the game. Hello YouTube, Liquid Dream here with another episode of my Chronicle Crusade journey. Content around. Game I was going to fully commit to and start creating content around. Because the choice in front of me were Diablo 2 Resurrected, Diablo 4 or Path of Exile 2. And honestly, at one point I was even considering making a variety channel where I would just jump between random games and reviews. But random really just isn't in my vocabulary, and I enjoy sticking to a journey, a challenge, a grind, and slowly building something over time instead of constantly bouncing from one thing to another. After a lot of thinking and probably far too much over analysing, I decided to stick with Diablo 2 Resurrected and begin what started as a Holy Grail challenge and eventually evolved into something that we know as the Chronicle Crusade. Back then, the initial updates, the new rune words, Sunder Charms and all the good things that came with them, the game slowly drifted into what felt like dormant mode where every few months we would get another ladder reset and not much else to really sink our teeth into. Almost like Blizzard had quietly moved on from the game we all still loved and played religiously. Then earlier this year came a huge announcement about Diablo 2 Resurrected officially reaching Chinese shores, and suddenly there was a little spark of hope in the community once again, because people started speculating about mysterious new sets, extra stash tabs and all sorts of crazy theories. But then, out of absolutely nowhere, we got hit with something that at that moment I genuinely felt glad that I stayed committed to Diablo 2, because suddenly we had a PTR again, proper patch notes again, and that exciting feeling that maybe, just maybe, there's still bigger things cooking away in a Hell's Kitchen waiting for us down the line. I could have stuck it out with Diablo 4 and eventually ended up with the version of the game that honestly probably should have existed from day one, or I could have disappeared into the world of Path of Exile again after spending hundreds of hours in the original game across multiple leagues. But there is just something about Diablo 2 and now Diablo 2 Resurrected that keeps dragging me back in with that dangerous just one more run gameplay loop mixed together with nostalgia, atmosphere and that unbeatable feeling of seeing something shiny hit the floor. Crossroads, eh? Well, I'm glad I stuck it out, and even more glad that I get to share this journey with you all. But you know what, enough of all that, let's get into our Chronicle Crusade. We kick things off at the usual Dance of Death, as we once again descend into the depth to face Poison Queen herself, Andariel. And honestly, at this point, it almost feels like muscle memory, because the entire fight is just a constant balancing act of teleporting around, avoiding the poison pools, chugging potions like they're going out of fashion. Once the whole hoo-ha finally subsided, I immediately knew that something different was sitting there among the pile of loot, waiting for me. Was one of those assassin pieces that honestly feels quite fitting, considering how difficult some of these set items can be to actually track down, despite not being overly powerful in the grand scheme of things. But nevertheless, another missing piece of the puzzle had finally fallen into the place: Natalia's mark. Let's face it, when it comes to completing the Grail, Andariel really still is the queen of consistency. Well, at least pre the Warlock era anyway. Because even after all these years, she continues to shower players with enough uniques and set items to keep us addicts endlessly coming back for more punishment and more poison cloud dancing. The next item is quite interesting though, because despite not being some overpowered meta defining piece of gear, it still has its uses for specific summoner or bone necromancer builds thanks to the bonuses. But of course the most famous is the proc for life tap, and my brain instantly went, tap. Not exactly game breaking, but Marrowborg Woods, item number 451. This time we move away from the Poison Queen and over to Poison / Lightning King himself, Mephisto, and apart from the ring itself, the loot was honestly absolute rubbish, with that kind of drops that makes you question why you're even playing Diablo. Anyway, hopefully this is a SOJ down the track. Please. Back once again at Duriel, and among the sea of rubbish, something shiny caught my eye immediately and changed my mood, because sitting there was a unique jewel, and now the internal debate began about, is it something we already have or is it something new? Well, as it turns out, the stats themselves pretty average with a 4-3 poison facet roll, nothing amazing, but honestly at this stage of the Grail, I couldn't care less whether it's perfectly rolled or not. Item number 452, and another facet in a collection. Back to where it all began, and back once again to Andariel, potion chugging, blizzard spamming and disposing her and her goons feels like a millionth time during this Chronicle Crusade, and honestly the fight has become what it mostly because I'm stubborn and refuse to swap over to fire build, even though everyone keeps telling me I would probably make it easier. Anyway, after all the chaos finally settled, Andariel decided to surprise me with another item that instantly triggered memories. For a mid-level barbarian, and especially pre-rune word setup, this was actually pretty good. Well, not amazing, but look, a chunky nostalgic blood tree stump was definitely something I used in the past. All too soon, that brings us to the end of another video, and honestly, what a run it's turned out to be, with some fantastic addition to the Chronicle Crusade collection, including Natalia's Mark, Marowak boots, an admittedly average but still very welcome poison facet, and of course the chunky nostalgic goodness of the blood tree stump. While once again that sneaky Nick ring continues teasing us in the background, waiting for the moment to finally reveal itself as an SOJ, hopefully. The Chronicle Crusade continues full steam ahead, and very soon I'll be also starting to add Warlock items to the mix that I have found along the journey, because with all the recent updates and patch notes, it genuinely feels like Diablo 2 Resurrected is entering another exciting chapter, and honestly I could not be happier to still be here grinding away and sharing this journey with you. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, subscribe and drop a comment letting me know what's your best find lately, and because we're now so incredibly close to that 100 subscriber milestone, and generally your support means a lot more than you realize. What originally started as a simple challenge to complete the Grail has slowly evolved into something much bigger for me, a real motivation to improve the videos, learn more about the game itself and continue pushing the quality further and further with every new episode that comes out. Until next time, peace out YouTube, and may Lady Luck be on your side.